Khan, hey, Shalom, Shalom, Akiyam. First and foremost, I would like to give all praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rakah, Kodash. Hey, double honors to the elders and apostles of Great Millstone, where I learned this 144% truth. Peace and salutations to the hopeful elect, starting with the 144,000 men of Israel, which consists of the servants, the prophets, whom have been ordained since the foundations of this earth to sing this new song, which comes in the form of this gospel, which would be preached throughout all four corners of this earth and rest upon the ears of the innumerable multitude, men, women, and children of Israel, who may be scattered throughout all four corners of this earth. Shalom. Hey, shalom, beloved Akiyam and Akwath. It's just Bayan back again through the spirit, power, mercy, and grace of our power, Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai. Just wanted to tap into a very brief live stream, pretty much sounding the alarm on the reality of this digital ID that's about to settle, over here in the West, and we already know they're already doing it over there in England, if I'm not mistaken. But needless to say, this is a reality that's coming to Babylon the Great. Apparently, there's 60 days of fiat currency left or whatever. You know how they get down. You know how Esau gets down, man. He likes to push all types of rhetoric and work through gradualism. But needless to say, the reality via prophecy, all right, is that, Evil E is going to try to brand every person on this planet Earth, all right, with a device the size of a grain of rice, pursuant to Revelations 13:16. And prior to that, all right, it looks like this digital ID is going to be for lack of better words, a conduit to that. It looks like it's going to be an avenue taken to transition from this to that device, the size of a grain of rice, all right, that implantable device, all right, because this digital ID, all right, it's oriented around biometrics, but it's not subdermal. Okay, the next phase, all right, of this digital infrastructure, with you being linked to the Internet of Things, is you being literally technology being put inside you, man. All right, and you becoming part of this man's system and his perfection in his eyes. All right, and this is where this thing is going. And you Jakes are being warned. All right, it's clearly transitioning. All right, I got a clip I want to play from Redacted, a very short portion of it. Pretty much listen to the rhetoric, listen to the talking point. And don't get it twisted. These people, these people are part of the agenda, man. These people are part of the agenda. Esau uses various tentacles, within his diabolical system and efforts to, manipulate the minds of the people. But the thing is, with the servants, the prophets, the Lord has given the men of the Lord the ability to see through Esau's deception, all right, and utilize his own tactics against them via prophecy, measuring it with what it says in the scriptures, bro. Measuring what he's doing, how he's moving, his little plants he got set up. At the end of the day, the men of the Lord are able to use information he's bringing out in efforts to deceive, but to shed light on the reality of what's actually going to come. But needless to say, this is who we are in prophecy. All right, Esau, all right, Evil E is closing in. All right, Evil E is closing in. He knows he's out of time. All right, he knows he has no more time to drag his feet. All right, it's time to push the button. All right, it's time to take it there. There ain't no way. There's no other route for him to take. All right, matter of fact, he could take a different route, but he's gonna end up at the same destination. He could take the backwoods. He can, he could take the main street, right? He could try to take the he could try to take any route he wants, but he's gonna end up at the same location, bro. Okay, he has no other choice but to bring forth this technology, man. This is his only way out, where he has no way out, but in his mind, this is his only way out. All right, this is the way this thing's gonna end. All right, and this is where we are. Let me go here real quick before we get this clip. Let's go to the book real quick. Let's go to the book of 2nd Esdras real quick. The book of 2nd Esdras chapter 9 real fast in verse 20, and it reads, "So I considered the world, and behold, there was peril because of the devices that were come into it," man. All right, and we know as far as Esau's world is concerned, all right, this man's plans and plots, it's oriented around this technology that he's gonna bring forth. This is how he's gonna deem control, you know, over the planet Earth, over the population on the Earth. You know, and this is a feat that's impossible, but in his mind, he thinks he's gonna be able to do it. You know, but at the end of the day, this is where, you know, his pride and his terribleness has put him in a position of being deceived. All right, he's looking in the mirror with a mindset like he's Superman. You know, not realizing he ain't gonna get to the finish line, man. But he's done psyched himself out. You know, he's done talked to himself so much in the mirror that he believes what his reflection's telling him. And now he's through. He's straitjacket material. You see? But needless to say, all right, there's going to be heavy peril in the days to come because of this man's diabolical plans he's going to try to initiate, man. I understand evil and only evil, man, because these people are going to reject this little plan he got going. All right, it tells us that in Job. Let me go get this real quick. The book of Job, chapter 20, in the book of Job, chapter 20 and verse 22, and the reason, the fullness of his sufficiency, he shall be in straits. So at the point where Esau is about to come to his perfection of his plan, he's going to be in a position of difficulty constantly. It's never going to change. He's never going to find a moment of relief with him trying to take it to the next stage. That's why he's having issues with the data centers, right? Them are sucking up energy off his grid, causing blackouts, right? Nothing's working out in his favor. You know, he's struggling to get there, but he's fighting, right? But on top of that, every hand of the wicked shall come upon him, man. And this word wicked, right, for edification, I'll go get it real quick.
Strong's H 6001.
Bear with me. Shut this off.
Strong's H 6001. A male. A male.
Right, so that's the word wicked in Job 20 and 22. And it's talking to who? When you go into biblical usage, it's talking to the laborers, right? The sufferers, right? The workmen, the people, all right? The civilians, man. All right, they're going to come up against this dude every step of the way. They're going to resist him. But that's why he's going to take it draconian, though. Okay, that's why he's going to up the ante in his wickedness. Okay? Upon him making this mandated, he's going to strip you of your ability to be able to even provide food and water for yourself, man. To where he's pretty much going to put your back against the wall, man. And if the Lord's not with you, you're going to bow. Right? Now, real quick, I'm going to go straight to the video. This is not meant to be long. Hey, this is fair use, fair use. All right, this is for educational purposes only. I'm not making any monetary gain off of this video. I'm going to share from Redacted. It's for educational purposes only. All right, fair use, fair use. All right, bear with me, Akiyam and Akwath. Let me go to the timeline. I'm not sure if it's Bear with me. Bring this back a little bit.
And so these programs are here. In poor countries like Africa, they don't even have money to document their populace. So the World Bank will give them billions of dollars. There's initiatives like the Identification for Development Initiative. There is 50 in 5. So they target Africa, countries in Africa and South America. They're pouring millions of dollars to ID their populace, and it's a bank. So, banks are going to be the natural first partners of this digital ID system. Here's a prediction I'll make. By 2027, it'll just be very natural. It'll be like the first means of authentication when you open a bank account. You won't necessarily, if you go in person, right, they're going to try and say, all right, hey, just sign up with your biometrics. That's the way we do it now. And I think it's going to come down to the individual bank and their policies. Just know that if you're doing something like this online, you can do things like try and disable your webcam. Like, don't give your webcam permission, and it's going to ask you like multiple times. So, okay, that didn't work again. Can we try again? And then eventually it'll give up and say, okay, we can't get your webcam to work. Send us your identification documents, a scan. So it's like, they're not going to tell you there's a manual way to do it. You're going to have to insist. And I think that's kind of ridiculous. But as you correctly pointed out, like, banks will be the financial system is really, really important right now. With bank transfers and credit card payments, it's possible that those are easily integrated into the digital ID system. But what's more likely is the use of payment apps. Those are a little bit more easy because they use modern infrastructure. And this is the second component of digital public infrastructure, which is like an idea from the United Nations Development Program, which is called unified payments. So you need the digital ID to tie everything together. Then you have the unified payments. And in India, these unified payment systems are really well done. They're used everywhere. So you'll have payment apps that you start to use. You'll kind of see this over the next 2 years. These become popular. So PayPal might pick up the torch, or Zelle or Venmo, and they're going to encourage they're going to make these apps really easy to use. So when we get to that stage, I think that we'll get into that situation where, okay, log into Zelle. All right, hey, I'm switching over to your digital ID verification. Okay, we got that. And then I think we're getting into that point you're talking about where they're able to track all of your behavior and activity.
Well, we've seen them debank individuals already. Friends of mine have been debanked. I've had journalist friends who sat in my living room, and while they were sitting there in my living room doing an interview with me, he got an alert that he was debanked off of one of the websites, was Zelle or one of them, where he was where he could make a little bit of money. He was making no money to begin with, and they shut off his funding source because they didn't like his politics as a reporter covering the Ukraine war. Like, that's what I worry about, being debanked, being taken out of the system. And, there was an ad that ran recently. It was like an AI generated ad that ran recently in the UK about the Brit card. I'm sure you've seen it online, and we can even show a little clip of it here, but it shows an old lady waiting for a bus, and she doesn't have a phone. She doesn't have a smartphone, and therefore she doesn't have a Brit card with her digital ID. And the bus driver tells her, sorry, you can't get on the bus. We need your Brit card. And she says, I don't even have a smartphone.
Can I see your Brit card, please?
I don't have one. I don't have a smartphone.
That's what I'm worried about too, is, if you don't go along with this, you're going to be left behind. You're going to be what liberals love to say about the poor and minorities in this country, is that they don't have access to bank accounts. They don't have IDs, therefore it's difficult. We can't have like some sort of an ID verification for voting, right? So
Yeah.
that's what they say, right? They're going to be left behind.
Yep.
They're not going to be
Yep.
able to vote in our elections, and I worry that that's what's coming with this new system.
Yeah, that type of messaging in that ad is exactly the messaging that comes from, these initiatives from the World Bank and the United Nations. That's how they frame it. Like having a right to an identity is a human right, because otherwise you wouldn't get all these awesome things like school and social support and public transportation. But they conveniently ignore the fact that in this situation, they have to be the ones to control the ID, and they're also the ones pushing people out of the system. They could just ease up a little bit and let people identify themselves in other ways. But no, that's
on.
never.
Yeah,
So the ones.
that's not part of the plan. For them to ease up, that's not possible. That's not in Esau's makeup. Okay, that's not in his biochemical makeup for him to ease up. No, he's doing exactly what he's going to do, and he's going to come down with great wrath. Okay, in efforts to bring forth this diabolical plan, man. Okay, matter of fact, scripture tells. I'm gonna go back to this clip real quick. Let me just get this real quick. And notice how they're throwing the banking systems out there, right? But who runs the banking systems though? You see, they're talking about the international banks, but they're not putting a name on them. The global elites run the international banks, man. Them small hats. He's him that causeth all, small and great, when you read Revelations 13:16. But needless to say, I want to get this real quick. I think there's a book of Psalms, chapter 10. Kind of verse 2, and it reads this. Look at the wicked in his pride doeth persecute the poor, man. Let's read that again. Psalms 10 and 2. The wicked in his pride doeth persecute the poor. Okay? There ain't no letting up. There's going to be no other option or avenue. No, we're coming into a one world government. Okay? This is what the NWO's evolved around, man. Okay? It's the digital Tower of Babel. All right? And you people are going to find this out. Look it. Let them be taken in the devices that they have imagined, man. All right? And ultimately, Esau's world is going to come crashing down. But Yahweh Bashim Yahushai is going to let this dude do one hell of a job. Okay? And bringing evil upon you people, man. Let me just let you know that. Okay? As scriptures tell us, evil and only evil, man. Right, let's go back to this clip. You know, they showed that little digital video of that old lady talking about I don't have a digital ID or whatever, or a cell phone. And she was damn near left in the dust. Yeah, man, hey, that's real talk. Because when you tap into the scriptures, I'm going to play the rest of this clip. But Lord willing, we're going to go to Revelations. We'll start up a little bit. Yeah, man, if you don't join yourself, if you don't bow, and guess what? You're going to be ostracized, man. Okay? Labeled as a dissident. Because you refuse to join yourself to this digital grid. Okay? This is the reality. And there's no, because you're an American, you don't got to do it. No, man.
People out of the system,
Hold
they could just ease up a little bit and let people identify themselves in other ways.
Not going to happen.
But no, that's never part of the discussion. And so it's all about power and it's about control.
Yep, that's right. It's all about power and control. Let me fix this screen, Akiyam and Aqua Salakia.
And I think that
damn.
would like this digital control grid because there are so many people. It's really hard to keep track of what they're doing and also to make sure everyone is on their best behavior. So
this thing's doing what it wants.
Unified digital public infrastructure will make that a lot.
I'm going to bring this back a little bit.
All about
the screen is frozen the way it is. I'm going to leave it like
that. And
that.
I think that they would like this digital control grid because there are so many people. It's really hard to keep track of what they're doing, and also to make sure everyone is on their best behavior. So a unified digital public infrastructure will make that a lot easier. Now, this is really interesting. So in China, they have this system pretty much worked out. Even though I'd say their digital ID is fairly new, but they do have places where they have a public registry of what do they call it? They call it dishonorable citizens. And so if you get sued, if someone sues you for defamation, and this is an actual story, this guy got sued because he was a lawyer defending someone, and so he got sued for defamation. And he wrote an apology to the judge, and the apology was not convincing enough. So they put his name on the blacklist. Next things he knows, he can't buy plane tickets online, right?
What?
So, yeah, it's really insane the hoops people have to jump in
So
through
you
there.
can
And
even look at this dishonorable registry and see who's listed on this blacklist.
it's public. Yeah, it's public. I have the link in the digital ID report. It blew my mind when I first saw it, and so yeah, people would stop talking to this dude, right? Because of the fear of being associated to this guy. They don't want to end up on the list either, right? So it's the chilling effect, and to bring it home here, I think, Clayton, the best thing people can do right now is go out and start talking about this issue in person. Farmers markets, the people they're close to, people who run businesses, and just say, hey, this stuff is coming. I don't know if we can stop it, but I just want to say, whatever happens, I'm not going to let a digital ID get between me and you right here. This relationship, I've got your back. I don't really want any part in the system. And I think that if you do that with the 40, 50, 100 people in your network, that pool of data, that human, data is not the right word, that human connection, that human energy is way more valuable than any digital ID system.
I agree with you. I hope in America we can stand against this.
Not gonna happen.
But
But
the thing is,
anyways,
they won't tell us we have a
bear
social
with me,
credit
I'm
score.
not gonna-
They won't
we-
tell
we-
us that we're in a dishonorable database. We'll have to find out years later through FOIA.
and you heard him. He slipped up and said data. I don't know if you Aki Yamanakwa have heard that, but old boy slipped up and said data. Right? Why? Because I understand they're on the same frequency. You see? These cats, a lot of these cats are plants, man. Let me bring this back a little bit. Because it's all about data. You heard this at the last World Economic Forum. It was data. That's all dude was talking about. I forgot his name. They need as much data as possible in efforts to make this digital infrastructure concrete, man. You see? I'm going to bring it back so you can hear it. Again, bear with me. And Salaki, I'm having slight technical difficulties. Very slight, but they're there. Let's see what we got.
Right word. That human connection, that human energy is way more valuable than any digital ID system.
I agree with you. I hope in America we can stand against this. The thing is, they won't tell us we have a social credit score. They won't tell us that we're in a dishonorable database. We'll have to find out years later through FOIA requests and other things that some
This thing's tripping.
organization in the government with political motives, like we saw under the Biden administration.
He's probably tapped into the tablet. I wouldn't even doubt it. I wouldn't doubt it at all. Because everything was working smooth before I even started this live. But anyways, you already know how that goes, Aki Yamanakwa. You already know. Let me see if I can go back.
Of what do they call it? They call it dishonorable citizens. And so if you pervasive, so
I agree with you. I hope in America
Here we go.
yeah, it's really insane the hoops people have to jump in
So
through
you
there.
can
And
even look at this dishonorable registry and see who's listed on this blacklist.
it's public. Yeah, it's public. I have the link in the digital ID report. blew my mind when I
Yeah,
first saw
whatever.
it. And so yeah, like people would stop talking to this dude, right? Because of like the fear of being associated to this guy. They don't want to end up on the list either, right? So it's the chilling effect, and to bring it home here, I think, Clayton, the best thing people can do right now is go out and start talking about this issue in person. Farmers markets, the people that are close to people who run businesses, and just say, hey, this stuff is coming. I don't know if we can stop it, but I just want to say, whatever happens, I'm not going to let a digital ID get between me and you. Right, here's this relationship. I've got your back. I don't really want any part in the system. And I think that if you do that with the 40, 50, 100 people in your network, that pool of data, that human, data is not the right word, that human connection, that human energy is way more valuable than any digital ID system.
I agree with you. I hope in America we can stand against this.
Not gonna happen,
I
Clayton.
just,
But you heard him. Human data, because he's locked in. That was off of muscle memory right there, man. They're all locked in. You see? They're all part of the same team. All right? Same with China and America. They're trying to paint this picture like it's some type of a technological race going on between China and America. No. They're on the same team. That's all part. This all part of Esau's psyop. You see? But at the end of the day, and you heard him, he prophesied, he said what? This is definitely coming. We don't know if we can stop it, he said. Right? See, he knows this is coming. This is the move. This is the next move. All right, from the powers that be. All right, this is their next move. They got to take it here. Right now, let's go. Now, as far as there's no. Hey, you can resist if you want, and if you ain't got the Lord with you, you ain't gonna go nowhere fast. All right, because again, pursuing the biblical prophecy. Let's go. The Revelations, real quick. We closing out there. Right, Revelations 13. We're gonna start up at 15, right? Because they highlighted this talking point, right? As far as being a dissident, right? What's it gonna get you? Look at Revelations 13 and 15. And he had power to give life unto the image of the beast. Right, Evo E in the form of this revived Western Roman Empire. Right, I had power to give life unto the image of the beast. Right, brought back all its gladiator games, its infrastructure. All right, it's diabolical laws, right? It's mindsets, philosophies, that the image of the beast shall both speak, right? And how does it speak? Through his laws, man. That's why when you jump up a couple of verses, let me see here. Yeah, verse 11. Let me jump up real quick. Revelations 13 and 11, and reads this. And I beheld another beast coming up out of the earth, and he had two horns like a lamb. Democrats, Republicans. Okay? And he spake as a dragon, bro. Okay? Through the laws. And it's going to get way worse than you missing a bus or being put on some blacklist. Okay? Because you spoke against the government. No. It's going to get way worse than that. All right? Esau's going to take this thing draconian. All right? But look, let's continue on. Revelations 13 and 15, and continuing on. I'm going to start from the top. And he had power to give life unto the image of the beast, that the image of the beast shall both speak, and cause that as many as would not worship the image of the beast, right, should be killed, bro. The image of the beast being everything you see around you, bro. This whole revived Western Roman Empire. All right, and if you don't worship it by joining yourself unto it, by bowing down to it, by being subjugated to this new technological system they're pushing, guess what? Let me read it again. And cause that as many as would not worship the image of the beast should be killed, bro. All right? And this is going into two things. Now I want to highlight. You're killed literally. Like, don't get it twisted. Esau is gonna he's gonna pursue those that are against the system. But first and foremost, all right, it's talking to being ostracized, right? Separated from the system. Right? Because you're not going to be able to what? As you read down, you're not going to be able to buy or sell. But let me just get this word real quick. Revelations 13 and 15. When you get this word killed, right? When you get the I'm gonna get the root word, but listen to this. I'll get this.
Strong's G 615. Apartino. Apartino.
Right, that's talking to what? To kill in any way whatsoever, to destroy, right? Extinguish, abolish, right? And we know Revelations 20, right? Esau's going to be deleting cats that don't want to join and bow down, all right, to his idolatrous image. Because it's digital IDs that has to go into your body. This digital ID is going to manifest into that. Esau's using something called gradualism, for those of you that don't know. All right? He thinks he's the Most High. He's gradually going to his, he's gradually making his way to his plan. Right? He's trying to desensitize the people as far as, hey, I ain't going to hold you. Right? My other phone recently broke. And I grabbed like an iPhone or whatever. And then I end up, having an issue with my card or whatever. So I was using not digital. I was using Apple Pay. So I'm over here using Apple Pay, and I'm not gonna hold you. Hey, using the Apple Pay, that's easy as all hell. So imagine when you could just go grab your stuff. You go to checkout. You have your phone, right? All you gotta do is open your you double tap the side, boom. You put your code in, boom, 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 you out. So imagine if that device is inside you. So you go to pay for your stuff, boom. You just put your hand to the thing, boom, 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 you're gone. And the mindset of these people they're so lazy. That type of convenience for them it's worth it. And they're not even seeing the harm in that. They don't understand what they've done, allowing them to put that device in them. Right? They don't understand. But hey, this is the reality, bro. This is the reality. Okay? That's the MOTB. That's the MOTB. If you put that device in you let this dude put this device in you, Jake, you are through. There's no repenting from it. All right? But you can see the point I was making. You can see the convenience in it. It's going to be very convenient. And the Esau going to take it there. You can turn your car on, boom. You just, you know what I mean? Everything's up. Your whole situation's on you. Your ID. They're going to be tracking your carbon footprint with it. It's just, a lot of these people going to get it. But Esau's got to gradually, make them bow. Now, when you get the root word of this word killed.
Strong's G 575. Apa.
Right? Under biblical usage, it reads what? Of separation, of local separation. Okay? Separation apart from a whole. Right. So you're going to be what? Ostracized. You see? Separated from the system. Because this thing's going to become mandated, and if you don't do it, if you're not going to be able to buy or sell. You're not going to be able to eat. It's linked to economics. All right? Let's read down a little bit in Revelations 13. And we'll wrap it up. Revelations 13 and 16, and it reads, and he causeth all, who's the he? The international banking families. The elite, the small hats, the gutter rats, the big nose people, bro. The imposters. And notice how they're throwing around bank, international bank. They're saying it, but they're not putting no name on it. Who are these mysterious world leaders, right, that have so much resource, that have so much money as liquid? Who are they? It's bigger than the bank. Who's sitting on top of that bank, man? You see? They won't tell you that, but they're throwing that word, universal bank and all that, throwing those terminologies around, though. But again, they're all part of it. They're all part of the situation. But anyways, look. And he causeth all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, man. Everybody. All right? Look, it says, and he causeth all, small and great. All right? Old and young, bro. Doesn't matter. Right? Babies are going to be coming out the womb getting it, bro. Just like how they they cut the umbilical cord. It's gonna be the same idea. Boom. Bring them, you know what I mean? Put it, boom. That's going to be the process. Look at rich and poor. All right, free and bond. Look at to receive a mark in their right hand or in their foreheads, man. The mark, the charagma. All right, which is going into an engraved image, right? So look, let me show you something real quick. For those of you that don't know. Let me see here. I got a little bit of time, so for edification, I mean, I gotta go, but for edification, we'll just grab this real quick.
Strong's G 54A. Charagma. Charagma.
Right. So it goes into what? A stamp or imprinted mark. Right? Look it. A graven work. Thing carved. Okay? Look it. An idolatrous image, bro. Okay? It's an idolatrous image. That's why if you get it, you're out of there. You're bowing to Esau. You're saying that he's your God if you receive this thing, man. You know? And as an Israelite, you know that's a capital offense. It says a mark stamped on the foreheads or the right hand as the badge of the followers of the anti-Mashiach. They're going left with that, but I mean, to a capacity, you know? Because we know there's more than one anti-Mashiach. You know, there's many, as we know, as scripture says. Right? But anyways, a mark branded upon horses, right? It's going to show ownership. All right? It's going to show that Esau owns you, man. He already likens you unto Goyim. Right? Right here, under Strong's definitions. A scratch or etching, because again, it's going to be subdermal. It has to go under the skin. As a badge of servitude. You see that? Or sculpture, figure, statue. Look at graven work. You see that? Graven work. Of idolatrous images, bro. This is what it is, bro. And guess what? The karax is the delivery system. The root word of this word, karagma, is karax.
Strong's G 5482. Charax. Charax.
Right, which goes into a pale or stake. It says palisade. Palisade or rampart, right? When you look at a palisade fence, it's tapered at the end. It looks like the end of a syringe, is what it looks like. All right, because that's exactly what this is talking to. It's talking to the delivery system that's going to put that device into you. It's the delivery system, bro. And that's where this is going. All right, this is going from digital ID, okay, to MOTB. That's where it's going. All right, let me go here. Revelations 13, right, in verse 17, it reads, that no man might buy or sell, save he that had the mark. See? You can't buy or sell without it. It's part of economics. It's going, bro. All right. That's all we're gonna be like, all right, when we when it goes down, all right. You got B-O, is it B-O-I? Brothers can correct me if I'm wrong. I believe the Elder Menachem Zappa did a lesson on them. I believe it's Believers of the Way. I believe it's B-O-W. I believe it's Believers of the Way, bro. If I'm not mistaken, talking about you don't have to know what the MOTB is, man. Revelations 13:17, that no man might buy or sell save he that had the mark or the name of the beast or the number of his name, man. All right, which is synonymous. The name and the number are synonymous, man. All right, because the number of his name is 666. Okay, Kantawada. And we know that UPC code, that universal product code, is going to be on that chip. Okay, so if it's in you, you got his name on you and his number. All right? And without it, you can't buy or sell. Showing you again, it's linked to economics, bro. It's linked to the money system. Why do you think everything's going digital? It's not a coincidence. Hey, and this is the reality of the story. I'm not going to beat a dead horse, but what I am going to do, or a dead dog, rather. Let me just do this real quick. Yeah, of course the devil was messing with the feet. The water, Akia, you called Judah. I thought you said that. Yeah, of course the devil was messing with the feed. He was messing with my tablet. He's messing with the feed. You know, you already know. But at the end of the day, the message reached who it had to reach. It's all through the spirit and power of Yahweh Shai. We already know, pursuing the Isaiah 55. The word of the Lord doesn't go out void, man. You know, it's going to get to where it needs to go. It's going to be accomplished. The work of the Lord is going to be accomplished regardless, no matter what. All right? But needless to say, hey, you already know Akiyam and Akwaf. Hey, Lord willing, you were edified. Lord willing, you were spiritually fed. And Abaratazah, you were informed. Okay? So we're staying on our watch. We're watching closely, man. Hey, the men of the Lord that brought the elders and apostles of Great Millstone on down are watching closely, man. While these people are drunk off of the Babylon juice, here it is. Reality's about to sink in. Okay? Reality's about to sink in, man. And all these niggas gonna be left looking crazy with their mouth open. You know, that 1,000-mile hand might stare. You know what I mean? Hands up like the emoji. Like, what happened? Yeah, nigga, no more fiat currency. Nigga, you gotta go downtown and you gotta go downtown and let them go to town on you. All right, it's game over. You see, but guess what? We know what's coming. We know what it is. Through the spirit and power, Yahweh Bashim Yahshai, the water, Yahweh Bashim Yahshai for the Holy Spirit, man. You know, this is the greatest act of mercy, bro, he could have bestowed upon us, man. We got the drop. We got the drop on Esau, man. We got the drop on this guy. You know, the Wadi Yahweh Bashim Yahshai for that. But needless to say, I'm gonna leave it there. Beloved Akiyam and Akwaf again. Hey, Lord willing, you were edified. Lord willing, you were spiritually fed. And Abaratazah, Lord willing, you were informed. All praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rakah, Kwadash. Hey, double honors to the beloved elders and apostles of Great Millstone, where I learned this 144% truth. Hey, Shalom.